Okay, we're rolling.
Hello, my name is Lucia and welcome to my Italian kitchen. Now that Thanksgiving is on the way, I'm going to show you how to make my Mama Tanina's delicious Sicilian poultry stuffing. You can use this stuffing for any kind of poultry, like chicken, turkey, and Cornish game heads. Today I'm going to make the stuffing for a turkey, so I'm going to make the full recipe. Okay, let's get started on the ingredients. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the rice. And I've got 2 cups of broth here. You can have your own broth, or if you want to use a canned broth, that's fine too. And 1 cup of rice. And this is brown rice that I'm going to use today, but you can use white rice or any kind that you'd like. Okay, moving on with our ingredients, I've got the half a cup of olive oil, and this is extra virgin olive oil. And I've got 1 small onion chopped up. And I've got 2 stalks of celery chopped up. I also have half a cup of parsley and about a half a cup of Romano cheese. And I've got 1 bunch of spinach. And a pound of ground beef. And I like to use grass-fed ground beef just because it's supposed to be better for you. So let's get started. Let's start with our rice. It's pretty simple. We'll just put our rice in this saucepan. Okay, I'll put the rice in here. And I'm going to bring this to a boil. Oh, and by the way, we're going to also add 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, but that's going to be when I make the actual stuffing. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to stir my rice in. Let this come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, I'm going to simmer it. I'm going to cover it and bring it down to a simmer. Okay, now our broth is boiling, and I'm just going to bring it down to a simmer. You can see that it's boiling, and I'm going to bring it down to a simmer. I'm going to cover it up and just let this sit till it's actually done. Now with brown rice, it usually takes, almost an hour for it to cook. So we're going to take a break from here, and once the rice is ready, we'll come back. So my brown rice is cooked now, so we can get on with the next portion. But I wanted to say a few things. You can use white rice if you prefer that. It won't take as long as the brown rice. And also, I used broth with the rice, but you can also just use water and just add a little salt. The broth gives it a better flavor, and because the broth is pre-salted, I didn't add salt to the rice that I'm making. So now I'm going to put the rice aside, and I'm going to start on cooking the vegetables. So I've got a nice big skillet here, and that's what you want to use for the next steps. So I'm going to add my oil to the pan, and I'm going to turn up the heat here. I'm going to turn up the heat for just a little while, and then I'll add my vegetables. Okay, now I'm going to add the onions and the celery to my pan with the olive oil in there. And I'm going to let this cook for about 10 minutes because you really want your celery and onions to soften, and that gives it a nice texture when you add it to the rest of the ingredients, when you taste it. So, okay, so while that's going on, I'm going to turn up the heat on this pan, and I'm going to start my ground beef. So you just want to keep stirring as your veggies are cooking. And like I say, this is going to take about 10 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer. And I have found the longer you cook your onions and celery and things like that, it really gives the food a good flavor. I even notice it with my spaghetti sauce, my pasta sauce. I really like to cook it as long as I can because that really does something to the onions, kind of caramelizes it or something. So it really does give it a nice flavor when you do that. You know, it's really nice to have recipes from directly from Italy. Having my mother's recipes is just a gift for me. She never wrote anything down. So what I finally did was the next time she made the stuffing, I measured everything and I made sure I wrote down all the ingredients. And now I'm so glad I did that because I would have lost some of her most wonderful recipes. She was an outstanding cook. Okay, now that this pan, I'm going to add the ground beef. So we'll let that cook. And my mom always emphasized the importance of using lean ground meat. You know, she always recommended that. Okay, let me stir this around. And if it's too much for you to have both these things going at the same time, that's fine. You can cook your meat ahead of time, you know, before you do this, whatever you feel comfortable with. This is looking really good over here. And you don't want your onions to brown. You just want them to soften. So don't have your heat up too high because that could brown them. So just keep an eye on that. So make sure that it doesn't brown. Yeah, I taught this in a class last year at the Italian American Heritage Foundation. We did this same stuffing recipe, and we had chicken. We had 2 nice big chickens, and we stuffed those, sat down and ate, so that was a real nice treat. I'm sorry we can't all do it again this year because we're all sheltering in, but hey, we're doing everything on Zoom, which is a godsend for all of us who want to teach cooking classes and those who want to take the classes. So it really is a gift to have that resource. Okay, it looks like the onions and the celery is cooked. Our rice is cooked. Our ground beef is cooked and drained. And I'm going to add this to our vegetables. Okay. And I'm going to add our rice. You know what I'm going to do before I add the rice? I'm going to add the salt and pepper. Just because I think, I'm just going to add a little bit. I think that, oh, where's my pepper? Over here. I think it'll just be easier to blend in because I'm going to add several large portions of rice, and also I'm going to add some spinach, which will make it a little harder to stir the seasonings into it. So I've got that. I'm going to add the parsley now. And you could do this in any order. It doesn't matter what order you put it in. Okay, I'll just add this in. And you know, this recipe really isn't that hard to make. You know, once you've got everything chopped and once your rice is cooked, you just add everything and then just let it cook for a little while. And normally what I do, just because there's so much to do on Thanksgiving Day, I usually make my stuffing the day before. And that way it's all ready to go and I can stuff my bird and just, you know, usually what I do is I leave the stuffing in the refrigerator overnight. And so it's ready to go the next day for when I prepare the my turkey. Okay.
What are you putting in now?
Oh, now this is the cheese. This is the Romano cheese. And we freshly grated this. And you know that we Italians love our freshly grated cheeses, whether it's Parmesan or Romano. We always like it, you know, freshly grated. And my nice husband did that for me today. And now I'm going to add the rice. Just add this in. Okay. Just mix that in. Oh, and you know something? I almost forgot two very important ingredients, and I'm going to get them right now out of my refrigerator. I'm going to add 2 eggs to this. That's part of it. Good thing I remembered. This is the first time I'm making it with brown rice. I usually make it with white rice, but I thought I'd give this a try. You know, brown rice is probably better for you, and it has kind of a crunchy feel. So I thought we'd try this today, and Dave wanted it too. So 2 eggs. And I'm just going to scramble these. I've got a whisk, but I always like doing my eggs with a fork for some reason. It just seems to work better for me. Okay, so I'm going to add this in and stir it up. And don't worry about making a mess, because I hear that the best cooks are those that make a mess. And so that really must say something about me, because you know, I do make a mess when I cook, but that's all right. Usually the food tastes good, so that's all that matters. And then I clean up afterwards, so that's the main thing. Okay, now I'm going to add spinach, and I used a bunch of spinach and I chopped it up kind of small. And you know, this is going to cook down quite a bit. It looks like a lot, but it's going to cook down. So I'm not going to stir this till it steams a little bit in there. I'm going to cover it up and let the spinach cook down, and then I will go ahead and stir it up a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this up for now. Turn it up just a little bit. It's like on 3 right now, between 3 and 4. And I'm just going to let that sit and wait till the spinach cooks down, and then I'll come back and stir it. Okay, now I'm stirring in my spinach. Let's see what it looks like with the rice and all the ingredients. Well, I didn't let it simmer for very long, and I'll tell you why, because I'm going to cover it in a moment after I mix this up. I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to let it simmer for about 15 minutes on very low heat. You don't want to burn the bottom, and you may want to check on the bottom so that it doesn't, so that the rice and the ingredients don't get stuck on the bottom. So keep a good eye on it during that 15 minutes to make sure you don't brown the bottom. And if you want, another thing you can do, if you think it may not simmer or whatever, you can always add just a little pinch of water, and that should make it steam kind of nice. But don't add too much, because you don't want to make your rice really soggy. So for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to leave it on the stove at a low heat, and then we'll come back and we'll actually stuff our turkey. Welcome back. Okay, our stuffing is ready to go now, and one thing I want to explain is that you may want to taste it while it's cooking. I added a little extra salt because it needed it, and you just want to give it a taste, see how it tastes to you, and if you need to add anything. Also, I left it longer than 15 minutes because I felt like it needed to cook longer. So you can always test it and figure out if it needs a little more cooking too. Okay, now I already prepared my turkey. This is a 10-pound turkey, and what I did is I put olive oil over it, salt and pepper, and I also added a little bit of poultry seasoning. Now I'm going to go ahead and stuff the turkey with the stuffing. Just keep adding to it. One thing I want to tell you, and I'm going to say this later too, I'm going to probably repeat myself over and over on this, so I'll sound like a broken record. When your turkey is finished cooking, make sure you take the stuffing out really right away, because you don't want anybody to get food poisoning. So you've probably heard this already, but I just want to make sure nobody gets sick by stuffing their turkey. Also, this turkey recipe is good for a good 12-pound, well this is 10, but because it's just my husband and I eat it, but it's usually good for 12 to 16 pounds. And then you even have some left over. And what we like to do is just keep heating it up on the stove on Thanksgiving Day, and just add a little bit of broth to it and just let it keep cooking for an hour. It's always good to have extra. Okay, now I've got my skewers here. And I'm going to put them in there. Okay, now I'm going to take the string, and you kind of do it like you do your shoelaces. These skewers are not okay, let's try pulling it again. Okay, now I've got the skewers and the thread through my turkey, and with the stuffing in there, and now it's ready to go in the oven. So here we go. And here we go. So we'll wait till our turkey is cooked. It's going to take several hours, and then we'll come back and show you the end result. Okay. Wait till I get it open. Oh, this oven looks so good. I hope we have enough juice to taste it. Let me see. Well, we have a little, not a lot. Okay, this is our beautiful turkey. I tested the temperature, and it reached well over 185 degrees. So we're ready to roll. Now I'm taking out the stuffing. I just want to tell you again, make sure you take out the stuffing right away, because otherwise you could have a case of food poisoning. We don't want that to happen. So make sure you take it out right away. Safeguard yourself and your family. And then we are going to cover the, we're going to carve the turkey. My wonderful husband will do that for us. It'll be a small Thanksgiving celebration, because with all the COVID stuff going on, we just don't feel confident having it with anybody else. So we'll just have it, the two of us, which will be safe. And like I just saw in the news tonight, people were saying, you know, stay safe. And next year you'll be able to hug your family and get together with loved ones, your friends, your family. And main thing is that we're alive next year. That's what we want to be sure of.
From our home
To your home. We want to wish you all a blessed and a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Get out of here. Get out of here.